Okay, 5:30, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order.
Shut that.
Yeah, that would be actually good, because we'll be able to hear. This only being the second select board meeting that I've ever chaired, please bear with me. So I'm not gonna read the reminder about the meetings that, that Eileen usually reads at the beginning of the meeting. I'm just gonna say, it says, let's be polite to each other and kind and listen to, yes, let's be civil, okay? So I'm gonna just start with that today. And that this is a meeting of the select board. It is in the public, but it is not of the public. So it's our meeting. You're all welcome to be here. Thank you for coming. And we really care what you have to say, but we have to do our business up here. So are there any adjustments to the order of the agenda?
I have none.
None? Oh, you turned that off and already the cold. Is it the door? Like, is it coming from, where's it coming from?
It's probably coming from that room.
Should we shut the door?
You can. You know why? Because that window has to be open for that vent.
Oh, yeah, like it's a serious breeze.
Welcome to our office every day.
Oh, wow. Okay, any select board comments or remarks?
I just handed Eric a draft I've been working on for, it's referred to as mitigation, but really reimbursement to the town for providing emergency services. And that's something that I think we need to get back onto our agenda, maybe we could go over the draft. Things are kind of busy between now and town meeting. Maybe we could get it on the agenda pretty soon, because I'd like to start the discussion, particularly since I think it also implicates the town fire department maintenance fund, because some of whatever reimbursement we develop really ought to go into that fund. Mm-hmm. So we need to work on getting that fund up and running. I haven't received anything from you yet. You're going to send me some draft language?
Well,
Right.
we have an ordinance for billing and, for services. Is that what you're looking for?
Well, for a reserve fund.
Oh, you want language for the reserve fund, the one that we may create at town meeting. Is that?
Yes, hopefully. But I think that the discussion will tend to be more informed if we have some proposed language to put in front of the electorate at the town meeting.
How about if you call me and we can discuss this, because I'm glazed over right now.
Okay.
And we can put it on a future agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other select board comments or remarks? No. How about approval of the minutes from January 2nd and January 8th? Can we do them together?
I will need to abstain. We gotta do them separate.
We do, because different people were at different meetings. Okay, so January 2nd.
Make a motion to approve January 2nd minutes, 2025.
Second.
Okay. Any changes? Nope. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, so let's go to the 8th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of January 8th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion. Any changes? All in favor? Who were there?
Aye.
Aye.
Exception.
Okay, one abstention. Okay, so then we are on to warrants to the treasurer.
Make a motion to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review.
Second.
Payroll warrant dated January 24th, 2025, in the amount of $20,996.52.
Is that 996 or 936?
$936.52.
Thank you.
20,936.52.
See, I can't even hear when I'm here in person.
But it wasn't my mistake.
We'll review the tape on that.
Good luck.
Are there any questions, concerns?
Smaller than usual, but
Okay, and do we do these independently, the accounts payable?
no,
And, okay,
I'll read the next
Okay.
one and then you can.
okay.
So accounts payable dated January 11th through January 24th, 2025 in the amount of $71,665.08. Not a bad, this is not bad, it's a small one, I like it. Your normal monthly payments, Simon Operations Services, Wyndham County Sheriff's Office. What else is in here?
Well, typically, the biggest item is the health insurance.
Yep, MVP Healthcare, $20,139.72 for 1 month. Nothing unusual.
Green Mountain Power, that's just power bills.
Yeah, a lot of them. I can tell you the wastewater treatment plant was $2,100 for the month. So, I gotta figure that out, but
What's average? Is that average?
you can't ask me that question.
Okay.
Not without any backup. It's usually high, you know. I try to keep an eye on things and, you know, it just keeps adding up.
Okay, there's no questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, okay. Next, town managers report.
All right, hang on, folks. Even when I think I'm like really organized, like Sue Copley.
What'd you say, you think you're organized and then Sue Copley comes in?
Yeah. All right, lot going on. So I received, from the Vermont Department of Health, a survey for Cambridge Consulting Group to conduct a comprehensive analysis of the delivery of EMS, emergency medical services in Vermont. It's like a one-page survey, but I'm gonna hand it off to Fire EMS Department for them to fill it out, and then I will get this back to the state of Vermont. So they are basically, it's the health department's responsibility to develop and maintain a five-year statewide plan for the coordinated delivery of emergency medical services in Vermont, per state statute 18 VSA 909. So they're gonna conduct this survey. I'm sure we'll see results and see where it goes. But it's good to see that this is starting to happen. I met with Troy Ebenhauser of FW Web out of Rutland. Joe Tatro and Kim Monroe were also here listening with me about infrastructure-free pilot program for ultrasonic meters and cellular endpoints. Troy also educated us about climate resilient hydrants. So the meters and the endpoints, well,
What are we talking about?
so they're the water meters right now. So we have
yeah.
old water meters,
Yeah.
and so the older they get, they don't read accurately. So these are all cellular digital, which will come into an app right into town hall. Joe won't have to go out and read. He won't have to have a handheld gun or anything, and doesn't have to be updated or anything like that. It is just like 21st of the century technology, and I think it is great. I was, I don't get excited about things like that, but I was pretty excited. There is obviously a cost to it. They're running a program right now. I'm gonna look for 2 other estimates from different companies just to get a price sense, and hopefully a comparison, and then bring it back to the board. I think at this point, because we're gonna be looking at the wastewater treatment plant and any upgrades that need to be done and be more energy efficient and, climate resilient, especially with the hydrants. The hydrants actually will detect if there's like, a break, so there's a major flow of water going somewhere, and there's an alarm that'll come to the office or go to Joe or wherever. So it's advanced technology for Putney, but I think we need to look at it and consider, our options.
How many of these meters do we need?
Right about now, probably 120. The other thing too, with the housing needs assessment study, whatever the results from that study, we really need to be looking at this kind of stuff, because we can also put in new and keep the old, but if we want to do a slow, like 50 at a time, we can do that, or 25 at a time, whatever we can afford. But it's worth looking at to save money and to make sure that we're capturing what's going.
Do we meter, we don't meter residential, do we?
Yeah, we do.
So it seems like we would need more meters than that. How
No.
many connections?
So we have accounts,
Right.
okay, so 120 is what I'm saying.
Okay.
We gotta get the number to Troy, but I can tell you, Landmark College is 2/3 of our user. And most of the meters are up there, having the same meters too, we can control, if there's a new hookup, they get a new meter through us. It's on the same system that all reads back here, so.
Excuse me, can I ask, are these the new smart meters? Is that what this is referring to? The new smart
It
meters?
it is a smart meter.
Okay, because I think I read some articles about the downfall of them, that they're a potential danger. I'm not sure if it's the same smart meters, but that because they're digital, maybe they have to have electricity to them or something. And
So these run off cellular towers.
Yeah.
And they read from, that's where the transmission is from.
Right.
So,
I'm going to step in a minute and say, it sounds like you're just giving us a report that you're going to do some more research,
yes, I
right?
am. I'm not
So-
gonna make any decisions.
Right, so,
Right.
we'll look forward to hearing
Right.
more.
Right.
Can't hurt to do the research, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So moving on, I have a proposal from Sanssouci. I need to review it. So I will review that, bring it back to the select board, but that is to look at, solar, battery storage, for taxation. Any alternative energy sources and safety.
Wait, can you say that again, please? I think I missed what you were saying.
So Sanssouci,
Yeah.
which is a company that evaluates alternative energy sources.
Okay.
And he looks at assessed values and determines, fair market assessment in order to tax utilities. So these are special utilities that, like, a regular appraiser is not qualified to appraise.
So is this, are we looking at individual residential?
No, these are more commercial, Peg. So they're gonna be cell towers,
Right.
any battery storage banks.
Okay, yeah.
That are starting to come,
Yeah, yeah.
into towns.
Right.
It's hydroelectric,
Mhm.
and it's also consolidated in any, like, telephone lines.
And it's good to know any safety record, any safety concerns. Always good to know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something he'll look at, but I can ask the question. I haven't read the proposal yet, but. Moving on, I'm meeting with Larry Slice, our town attorney, on Monday to discuss private schools and how to proceed with an agreement. We're meeting at 9:30 on Monday. So that's important, and I have a few other things I want to discuss with him while I have his attention. The Fire Recovery USA for third-party billing for the emergency services, I want to get that on the next select board agenda. It is an ordinance that will have to have public hearing.
Did you talk to Mike about being presentation or something? I know you've mentioned that before.
I can let him know too.
Okay.
I think it's easier for him to explain it than
Yep.
for me to try to do it. We do have some work. Here's the thing, so he won't use our ordinance because our rates are not national rates. So when they bill the insurance company, they already have a standard rate, and ours is way below. So they won't even consider working with us unless we update the ordinance. So we do have a base template, and we're probably gonna use that, but I wanna get that on your radar. So look, that's coming. I met with CCI Managed Services, who is our IT vendor, and we're 60% at this point transitioned over. We're waiting on a couple things, and hopefully within a month we'll have everything in order and some of the bugs like cleaned up.
How does it feel like it's going from your end?
Well, I met with the owner and Rebecca on Tuesday in my office, and it's gonna be smoother moving forward. Let's just say that. So, we're not used to this type of service. Before, if we had a problem, we just called the vendor and they would fix it remotely. And this is a bigger company. They have 60 contracts. They have multiple municipalities, and they have a system that you put in a ticket, and then somebody gets on that ticket and they start working, behind the scenes. And we're just not used to all that. And we're learning, and we're trying to be patient, and it's been frustrating and aggravating, but we're gonna get over that hump. Because once it's all in place, I think we'll be in a good place. And with the renovation of Town Hall too, we need somebody, somebody to understand our system from the ground up. And they're totally rebuilding our system because it was so fragmented. So that's that. Town hall report, I'm gonna go quickly. So renew town hall, we have had several meetings. December 5th was our first initial kickoff. We had a Zoom meeting because there was a snowstorm and folks couldn't come down. So we discussed our project vision and goals, project scope and timeline review, site and building constraints and opportunities, existing conditions, civil site survey, structural and communications, and our HVAC. December 12th, there was a site visit here. Most of the engineers were here on site and our architectural firm was here. They did a walkthrough, everyone looked at, areas of their expertise. And they also did a 3D scan, like a visual tour of the building, which you can find on our website. And then January 10th, we had another Zoom meeting. We discussed the existing plans. We reviewed initial conceptual sketches and took a look at the project schedule for task 1, which is schematic design, and discussed public input process, timeline, and the architect's role. The site plan is in progress with Stevens and Associates. It's 90% complete. The boundary survey is complete. We don't have a preliminary plan yet. I do have an email into Tom Wagner and David Mann. No response yet. And we provided Vermont Integrated Architects information on the vault and our utility usage for electric, oil, and water and sewer for this building. Next steps is Vermont Integrated Architects to provide our team, Renew Town Hall, with cost information comparing a Lula and a stretcher-sized elevator. Our team will review initial conceptual sketches and share feedback with the architect, ideally prior to our next meeting. And the team will provide the architect with input on community outreach milestones relative to the draft project schedule. The town website has been updated, so for everyone wanting to follow this project, if you click on the big, large icon on the homepage, Studies and Projects, you will be directed to Renew Town Hall project. On that page is the introduction of the project, schematic design, scope of services, project team directory, schedule work plan. There's another drop-down menu for existing conditions, which contains the 3D existing conditions visual tour of Town Hall and the existing floor plans of this building. All the project meeting notes will be kept on that page in another drop-down menu. Moving forward, I believe we're gonna put all the projects in that location. Once people get used to, people only go to the website to look for certain things at certain times. So we're gonna try to manage and guide people. And whether they go there, well, I can't control that. Myself and Lisa Papazian attended a webinar on Municipal Energy Resilience Program. The webinar gave us more guidance on the steps that need to be taken under certain circumstances with the money that we received, or the grant we received for $402,000. So money's not free, because you definitely need to jump through some hoops to make sure that you cross your T's and you dot all your I's. We're working with North Hill to provide documentation of the grant applications and the executed agreements. Peter Root is developing a portfolio for us, and we'll be looking at other funding in the future for this project. We were also awarded a Vermont Historic Preservation Grant in the amount of $20,000 for the restoration of the windows. And that complements the Paul Brune grant, I believe, yes. So there should be no cost to the town. We're still ironing out some details with how that project's gonna start. The thing with some of this money is you have to spend it by a certain time, and that is gonna be the crunch for this project. So we're trying to line up everything so we don't miss a step. Our next meeting is January 24th, which is Friday, and then we have scheduled meetings for the 14th and 28th of February. We will be meeting bi-weekly for this project. So this project is huge. Once we get through the schematic design, we'll have a better number to bring back to the board and to the public. And that's all I have. I have more, but not tonight.
Does anyone on the board have questions or comments about the town manager's report? No. Anyone online? I can't see. No, thank you. Anyone in the room? No? Okay, thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Moving on to boards, committees, and commissions. First is the Putney Fire and Rescue Advisory Committee that I am on. So I will report that we had another meeting last night. It's hopefully our second to our last meeting. The report that's going to come to the select board is being drafted. We're making good progress on that. We've been able to document a number of things that committee has reached consensus on, and I would say last night we were able to we will be documenting something that we do not have consensus on. So we'll be sending the report to the select board about our sense of that committee's sense of where we recommend the select board, how the select board proceed. But that's where we're at, and hopefully in a couple weeks that committee will be finished with their task and it will come back to us here. If there are any questions from select board members, from folks here, yeah.
So that report is going to go from your committee
Back to the select board.
and then that will be it? Then it's gonna be voted on or passed, or will it go back to the people involved at the department?
Well, it comes to the select board for the select board to review, and then this body has to decide what they're going to do with it, how they're going to proceed.
Yeah.
And I would imagine any steps that we make as a select board would include, checking in with the department on a number of the points. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of recommendations that we're not just gonna, I can't imagine us as a select board just rubber stamping those recommendations, but considering them as we move forward. Yeah. Any comments online? Nope, thank you. Planning Commission status report, that's Sue Coakley, and every time, Sue, you come, I'm reminded that we do not yet have our place for you to come up and speak.
We talked about that. My office and I talked about that.
Yeah.
We're planning.
Okay.
We are. We are planning. We have
I think it's a great idea.
Yes, we need it.
That's
It's
right.
absolutely
In
necessary.
a nice new town renovated.
Yes,
town
that's
hall.
what we always say, in the town renovation.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I just want to thank Karen for all the time and effort she's put in to lead that project. She is the project director, and things are really moving forward. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Sue, for all your assistance.
Thank you both.
Yeah, she does a lot. I'm just like, and I have to say, I'm learning from you, Sue. I am. Thank you.
We're all
Thank you.
learning all the time.
Yes.
So I'm chair of the Planning Commission, Sue Coakley, and this is my monthly report. I didn't do one in December because I did one in late November, and then we adjourned for the year. So this will catch up a little bit from December. The topics I just want to touch on are the Putney Housing Needs Assessment and Action Plan report, which is nearly done, just like the report from the fire emergency management plan. And the Putney zoning bylaw modernization project was moving forward. A couple of, a new energy facility to be sited in Putney. I'll talk about that. Encore Renewable Energy 5 megawatt battery storage project. And then Green Commons of Vermont and their management plan for conservation easement. So I'll try to be brief. You have a detailed thing, but most of you have on your chair a card about a community meeting on the Housing Needs Assessment Action Plan. It's attached to the Selectboard Report. Next Thursday, the 30th of January, at Next Stage Arts. We'll present what we've learned about needs, but importantly, what are we going to do about it? And we will have a discussion, in-depth discussion, breakout groups to talk about those strategies, and they'll be wrapping up the report based on that feedback and be finished in February and presenting it to the Select Board, we hope, on the 19th of February, the last meeting of this session. We will have a number of recommendations, and I will see if the Planning Commission and the Advisory Committee that's been meeting with us all through it will offer their support for the report when it goes to the Select Board. I believe it will. It's really been evolving with the public input. So we've had a number of meetings right even through the holidays. We had a set of draft strategies presented at the beginning of December at our monthly meeting. We had the advisory committee and the consultant, and we felt that we needed more time to understand the strategies. It was a lot to think about. So we had 2 workshops on Saturday, December 14th and January 4th, half-day workshops where we dug into it more deeply, and that was very helpful. And out of that, Kamoy presented an updated set of strategies at a special meeting on the 14th of January that we discussed. And based on that, we'll be having the workshop next week, and then we'll be finalizing it and presenting it to all of you. I'm very pleased with where it's going, and I think it'll be strategic and actionable. And hitting the mark is what the needs are in our community. So, so that's the schedule to finish it. In addition to that, I did this with the town plan as well. Before we were done, it was pretty clear there were important things to do and sought funds to actually do the housing needs assessment and the zoning bylaw update. We are now looking at grant opportunities to fund some of the recommendations, but we'll wait till it's done, and then I'll come to you with more specific grant recommendations. But there's some new funding that actually could really help us advance things. And I will say that I appreciate the collaboration with the Our Future Putney Affordable Housing Task Force, not for the Housing Solutions Task Force, that's been meeting with us. So it's been a good collaborative discussion. And now we are together talking about funding opportunities to move initiatives forward. Then I'm trying to be brief. I could say a lot more. The report, which I actually have copies here if anybody wants to see the detailed report. There's 5 there. You can share them around. The zoning bylaw modernization project, we put it a little bit on pause in terms of community engagement because we had a lot going on with the housing needs assessment. We wanted to make room for that. But we have been meeting with the consultant, Wyndham Regional Commission, to review what are the likely issues that we'll have to address in a very detailed review of zoning bylaws. We're kind of previewing that now. Karen's been involved in those meetings as our zoning administrator, Pip Bannister as DRB chair, and somebody who frankly knows more about zoning and Putney than anybody. He's a very valuable resource, I have to say. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely helpful to have him highlight what needs to change from his perspective. When the Regional Commission is doing the same, and we're developing that list. We will have a meeting with our Project Advisory Committee, which has, for zoning update, has not met since the beginning of September. We took a pause to do research. We'll come back on the 4th of February at our next monthly meeting to talk about what are the issues we're going to address, the schedule to address them, and we will approve an agenda for a community informational meeting and discussion about zoning, probably for April. We're looking at April 10th. I need to check and make sure that will work with the town's schedule. It looks like it will, but I need to double check that. And we still plan to be done with the full proposal by the end of this year, but I think hearings, the select board has to hold hearings on them. That will be in the new year. It'll take us this year to get through it. Our goals are really to align with new state requirements, to make it all work better, particularly to address our housing issue, to make it administratively more efficient all the way around for everybody. So those are, we're putting together the specifics of how to do that. So then at our January 4th monthly meeting, we had a presentation by Encore Renewable Energy, which is going to be applying to the Public Utility Commission for siting approval for 5 megawatt battery storage on Hilo Vitty Road, or just off of Hilo Vitty Road, right next to a large solar array that is there right by the the distribution station there for Green Mountain Power. It is a battery storage technology that is utility grade, and so it is being treated as a utility facility. Therefore, it is not, they're not looking for preferred siting approval from Putney. It actually is under the Public Utility Commission's purview. So they have filed a 45-day notice to petition the Public Utility Commission for approval to site it there. And they came to us just to provide information. The town manager joined us for that discussion. We did discuss some issues that would be of concern to Putney, including safety, emergency management, fire safety, waste disposal. We talked about natural resource impacts. We talked about relationship to the road and impacts on neighbors. We talked about a number of issues. All the surrounding residents have received notice from the company. None of them attended the informational meeting that the Planning Commission had. But I do think it's a really important facility, frankly, in light of our interest in clean energy and climate resilience. It is very helpful to have battery storage placed around near the community. That improves our resilience in terms of outages and that kind of thing. And it will be on contract agreement on power, which is encouraging this type of development. But we do need to understand the impacts on the town, and I'm recommending that Putney consider, this is a good topic to discuss with the town attorney, Karen, when you meet with him, should we participate in the Public Utility Commission Section 248 process as an interested party. It costs nothing to just file to do that, and it keeps you in the flow of information and the issues that we appropriately might ask about, safety and hazardous materials and all of that will be addressed there. They did provide good answers to a number of those issues in the conversation, but really the place where that conversation happens is at the Public Utility Commission. And then we can address any issues of concern that we may have as a community. We also could support the project if we think it's actually an important thing to support us. We could do both. But I think we should just stay informed so we can make those choices. They have not filed their petition, and even though they could file it by the end of this month, given their 45-day notice, they signaled they probably won't be doing that till April. They're still talking to people and getting a number of plans together, but so they're being very proactive, and I appreciated that. So that, I will note that we did not have a quorum of planning commission planning commissioners at that meeting, so we couldn't take any action, but we could receive the information. So that's actually two things this year. There was the solar, what was it called again? The solar, Encore Solar installation siting, preferred siting status, Norwich Solar. And we, as the select board, approved that in June, and that's located on a former landfill. It's capped and monitored from the Putney Paper Mills, a pulp waste landfill. Good place to put solar panels. So anyway, those are two things this year. Lastly, I will note that as was planned all across the year, the town did submit a grant application to VTrans for the Transportation Alternatives Program funding to design and construct a Putney Landing pedestrian walkway, which would be the crosswalk from the library, near the library, over to the banks, with a crosswalk between the banks over to Old Depot Road. That was submitted on the 20th of December. Karen submitted it. I assisted her in putting that together. And we have not yet heard, it's not been a month yet. I expect by the time we get to town meeting, I think we'll know what award has been given. They're usually pretty good about doing it about 45 days. It was due the 31st of December. So if we did receive that funding, it would be $82,000, no, $92,000, 80% of the cost, and the town would provide a $23,200 match, and that was approved by the select board. So that has moved forward. So we will be concluding in February our housing needs assessment action plan, but moving into the funding implementation support phase, and we will ramp up our zoning work. That is my report. Any questions from the select board?
Yeah, let's start with select board. Anybody have any questions? For Sue? Anybody online have questions?
Let's see.
None? Anybody in the room? No.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Sue.
I invite you all to come to the meeting on the 30th, next Thursday, at Next Stage. Very important. Okay. That'll be our final meeting on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, so now we're on to select board new business, East Putney Community Club, Pierce's Hall Community Services appropriation requests.
Myself, Mary Quinn, and Ian Donaldson are here, and Irene Canaris and Wiley Brace are online as representing the East Putney. Oh, well, you know,
I know I'm on
so you're
Because you're
quite
here.
a supporter. We have an 11-member board, so we're here, and we're here about a community services appropriation. And, well, all of you know that Pierce's Hall has become known more as the community center. We have been working very hard to create programming for that part of town, which is pretty underserved. Irene, now say something anytime you want, but Irene did talk to someone at the school, and in terms of the school lunch program, free school lunch program, a disproportionate number of students are from the East Putney community. So we, and we really want this center to remain the vital part of the East Putney community, as it has since for the last century, I would guess. It used to be a very tight community. People didn't have cars; they weren't going all over the place and everything. But it was a very important place in the community, and we are working hard to provide services and fun for the people who live in that part of town. So we have. I'll read what we have asked to be put on the. You have information in your packet about what we do and have done, but what we've asked to be warned is: shall the voters of the town of Putney authorize a Group A community service appropriation to support the East Putney Community Club, a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization whose sole mission is to care for and organize events at Pierce's Hall Community Center for the community at large, pursuant to the Putney Selectboard Community Services Appropriation Policy dated October 18th, 2023.
So that is it is in the 2025 draft 4 warning for the annual meeting as Article 11. This board can choose to add articles. They are Putney community-based nonprofit, Group A. It fits the criteria of your policy.
Just like to add, Mary, okay, just as far as the needs go of the community, I happen to live next door, so I'm pretty aware of how much activity goes on there. We had 3 pop-up food shelves, and we mentioned that a long time ago people didn't have cars and it was titled community. Actually, the 3 pop-ups, we have the statistics somewhere, but a lot of people showed up on foot who were, we're still showing up on foot to get food, to come to the food shelf. We had a fundraiser, a clothing
A clothing drive.
right, for a fundraiser to help the people in North Carolina.
Amy also does contra dances.
There you go.
Last year.
Am I allowed to talk?
Yes,
No.
you are.
Yes, you
I live on the other side of the line in Westminster, so I figured I'd check. We had
We let Westminster folks talk.
We
the,
like those.
the contra dances in Pierce's Hall go back to the very beginning of contra dancing. It's one of the places it never stopped. At the point that there weren't many left and then they regenerated, that was one of the culture, like the yogurt culture points for it. And for many, many years we kept it going. It was your regular contra and square dance. It starts at 8 o'clock, it goes to 11. There's a suggested admission price. We changed that. Coming back out of COVID and revitalizing the dance. There's no suggested donation. It just says admission by free will. And we moved it to 6 o'clock with a family hour. We made a really concerted effort to get posters up in not the normal places, not just next stage where the other music stuff happens, but Putney is a stratified town. It has layers, and I've spent my whole life here with 1 foot teaching special needs kids out of the public school and the other foot teaching at the grammar school and the Putney school. I know how much those layers sometimes don't mix. We had 3 dances in the fall with 50, 60 people at each, and it was those layers mixing. It wasn't a political thing, it wasn't a food shelf, it wasn't a donation, it was not advertised as something supportive or with an agenda. It was just come out and dance, and people did. And I think we need stuff like that. And if we're gonna keep it going, we just can't be hitting people up for favors every single time. Can I borrow your sound system for free? Can the general store give us paper cups? We can't have ongoing stuff where we're always trying to find favors. We've gotta find a way to support it. And I never wanna see a suggested donation price on those posters. I don't ever wanna put a number to it because there's people that won't come because I know they're gonna meet that number, and I want people to just come.
Amy, what kind of money do you bring in on a 50, 60 people night for donations?
It can wildly vary, because there's people in this town that will show up in a Tesla and slip 100 in that bowl sometime.
Okay.
And then there will be people that bring a lot of friends with them, or a whole bunch of students that never ever carry cash will come up. There'll be 20 kids from the Putney school and not one of them has a nickel on them, which is fine.
Yeah.
I've done a head count and then looked at the money and you end up getting about $10 a person. And in order
So
to
you're
put
only
up,
getting 50, 60 bucks a night for a dance?
you'll get $10 per person
Per person. So
on
we
a
get
really,
about $500,
really good
$600.
night, $10 per adult. Will
Per
be in
adult.
that kitty. That's on a
$500,
very,
$600.
very good night, but some nights it's 4. And it just turns around and goes into the tank of whoever drove the furthest to bring the sound
Yeah.
system.
Well, sound system and the musicians who come also goes towards the musicians.
Yeah, most of the time the musicians refuse it and then it goes into the oil tank. Lori Indenbaum hasn't taken a cent for playing fiddle at that dance for the last 5 years. So.
Just special.
Okay, I want to ask a logistical question, a question about process here. So, to get on the A level for the community service appropriation, if they had come to us, is there a timing thing that if they had come to us sooner, we would have considered it and put it on our list? Is that? I'm sorry, I keep getting confused about this process.
What do you mean your list?
Well, do they have to go to? Did they have to go to town meeting to get put on the
No.
list? We can put them on the list,
You
right?
can put them on the list via this warning right here as an article. You, as a board, can add that. This is,
Oh, but it still has to go as an article to the town to
Yes.
be added to the list.
yes,
Okay, and we have the authority to add that so that they don't have to get all the signatures and all of that. Is that right?
right. So it's too late to get signatures. It was too late 2 weeks ago to get signatures.
Right.
Because somebody tried that and they didn't get their signatures.
Right,
They don't have an article,
right. I got it.
okay?
So I guess, well, I have one question first before I,
Can I just comment too? If you look at the community service appropriation policy, which is in that book, it may state that this board can just add them to the group. You
Oh.
need to look at the language in that.
would you mind looking that up? Because if that's the case, then we don't,
I think if we just put them into the
into
budget
the
on
list.
that list, the
Right.
list is in the budget. If we add
Well,
them to
it's
the
not
list,
in the
the prob-
budget, is it? It's in
the problem,
There is a line item in the budget.
yeah,
But that's just one figure that they all divvy up.
They have to share it.
Right, so
Yeah.
in the town report, we have the list of who is in
Correct.
that list,
Correct.
right? So the question is whether or not we can just add them to that list right now, or does it have to go to the town?
Right, it can be an article, but look at the language in that policy
Yeah.
because you
Okay,
may
so
be able-
while we're looking that up, would somebody from Pierce's Hall tell us how the ARPA money that went for heating, right? For your, how did that go?
Well, we're still
I
working
can-
on it.
I can
This will
speak to
actually
that.
help
Irene
us.
Canaris here
Hey,
virtually.
Oh.
Okay, hi Irene.
Oh, go ahead, Irene.
Hi.
Hi, we are currently looking into a few possibilities for insulating or adding heat pumps to the building in order to be more green in the way that we're facilitating the heating of the building. I'm looking into the Vermont Arts Council Cultural Facilities Grant to see if I can get some money that way that would match the money that ARPA has allotted to us. But you've got to know that we're working on a shoestring budget, and if you look at your packet, you'll see that. So yes, we are very appreciative of the ARPA money. It would cover about half of what we really need, maybe even less than half of what we need to really look at improving our heating system.
Yeah, great. I was just really curious how that was going.
Really appreciate that.
If you haven't, has everyone been to Pierce Hall? You all know that it's got this domed plaster ceiling and there's this historic aspect as well that we're desperately trying to preserve. And as you all know, as you're doing renovations here, there's, there's a lot of
Challenging.
things
Yes.
going on. So
Yes.
thank you to Irene.
Well, thanks to many members of the East Putney Board. We had one member who has done a lot of research into the history and figured out a way. I don't know how he did it, but he has framed a lot of articles and historical photographs and has made a gallery in the hall, which you're all welcome to come and view. I might also add that we hosted the the Putney craft tour at Pierce's Hall at no expense to the participants. And one of the members of that craft tour is a wonderful member of our community in East Putney. And that was an opportunity for a lot of people to appreciate the historical significance of the hall.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry, what was the question?
Wiley's raising their hand, is all I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yes. Somebody online? I can't see online, sorry.
Hi, yeah, Wiley Brace, also a neighbor of the hall, and I'm working with Irene also about the heating stuff, and wanted to just say that like a lot of what we're trying to do is get it to where we can heat. Like we do have heat right now, but it doesn't actually heat the hall, so that's why the contra dances are seasonal. Like it's very, very cold in there right now, so a lot of this is to get it to where we can use it year round and have it be comfortable and usable, which will really like increase the amount of events we can have in there. So
Great.
but yeah, all those estimates came in at like $12,000 to $18,000, so it's going to be a little while.
The issue with the heat is that it's loud. It's one of those corner mounted in the ceiling ones that sounds like a jet plane taking off when it's running. So you have to blast the heat and then turn it off and then talk and dance and play music or have a story and then quick turn it on again, and you know it's part of the gestalt.
Yes, yeah. Okay, well, I want to get to the question about what we can do here about getting you on the community service appropriations list. I'm reading this to say that, I mean, to me, the question is how to do this in the right way that follows our policies, right? So it says nonprofits may petition the select board for community service appropriations by filling out a questionnaire provided by the town and returning it by the date specified. So that's the question here, is what is that date specified?
The questionnaire is in the packet. It's in your select board.
I know, but what was the date? Was there a date specified by which they were supposed to return it?
No.
I guess they got it in on
Then
time.
they got it in on time, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's all I wanted to make sure of.
Right.
So,
That's not actually true. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Irene does the questionnaire with
With all the
She emailed it to me.
She did. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I wasn't
Yeah,
involved in that one.
yeah, but
Okay.
no, she did.
so we have the questionnaire in front of us, so we have the authority here as the select board to just add them to the list. So does anybody wish to make a motion?
I move we add them to the list.
Do
The
we
Part
have,
the Part A list for community service.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we add Pierce's Hall to the A list for community service appropriation.
Okay.
So is there any discussion among the select board about that? Any discussion online? I mean, any questions or comments online? Nope. Any in the room? Yes.
I just want to say I'm very pleased to see this. I recently discovered, doing some research and funding for the town, that the EPA considers East Putney and just East Putney an environmental justice community. And an environmental justice community is a community that is surrounded by freeways, think I-91, industrial facilities, small towns without clean drinking water or sidewalks, and are generally excluded from public investments. And I just think that describes East Putney, and I'm very glad to see them added to this. And I certainly am thinking in economic development and housing strategies that we need to give some priority to those who are most underserved, and that would be a lot of the folks who live in East Putney.
Sorry, Sue, what was that term you used?
Environmental justice community.
Thank you.
US EPA, look it up, you'll see East Putney.
Oh, wow. Thanks for bringing that up, Sue. That's a very important point.
If you look at Sue's report, page 2 of Sue's report on the housing study recommendations, it's got the reference to environmental justice in there.
Great. So if there's no more comments from the room.
Question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that that's when the kids are in the meal program, there's a large representation from East Putney. So it's an underserved community. Will there be activities for the kids, like an after-school program or something to that effect?
We don't know. I can't say yes or no. I mean, certainly we're doing as much as we can.
Okay.
We have,
I can speak
we
to
have
that.
had some potlucks.
Okay.
And we
Who, okay, so who is that? Irene?
I can, our potlucks have included family movie nights and have been very well attended, and the kids have had a great time. And there's also some talk about having a little lending library there. There was a lending library at Pierce's Hall a long time ago, and one of our community members happens to be the librarian at the Putney Central School, and she and I have been talking about doing something like that, so another possibility.
And someday we might get running water.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to put this to a vote so that we can, all in favor
Of
of adding Pierce's Hall to the A list for our community service appropriations. If you're in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, so there we go.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
What?
One
One less article.
For
Yeah.
town meeting.
Right.
Congratulations.
Stand up there and say something. But,
Really?
I mean, this will really help us also in terms of grant funding too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Having
it will.
matching money.
Great.
You know, so, thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Irene, for all you're doing.
Oh, thank everyone.
Really great representation from the East Putney crew here. So. Online and in person.
All right.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. We're gonna move on. If you guys want to take your conversation out to the hall, that would be great. So the next thing on the agenda is Southeastern Vermont, Southeast Vermont Transit Community Service Appropriation Request.
And that is Randy Shoemaker. He's online. And the information is also in your packet.
Okay.
And there is a drafted article for this as well. It is article number 10. And we can let Randy speak on this. Oh, before he does so this was the line item that was built into the budget, to the general fund budget. Fletcher, we talked about this one in sevens. We pulled them out of the budget.
Eileen wanted to do this one outside the budget as well. My proposal was in relation to sevens.
Right. So this company would fall into Group B as a nonprofit. So we can let Randy speak.
What would be the process of putting these all on the ballot instead of doing those articles?
Like Australian ballot, that's a whole different animal. That's a town clerk question, but anything you put on an Australian ballot, something like this, you may have to have public informational meeting to warn the public what it's about. So.
Okay. So Randy, are you here?
I'm here.
Did you want to present this to us?
Just briefly, I don't want to take any more of your time than need be, but we are Southeast Vermont Transit, the mover, the spotted buses that you see going through town. And we have enjoyed Putney's support for many years at the $1,000 level for our services. We have a fixed route that goes through town 4 times a day to connecting Brattleboro to Bellows Falls and obviously stopping in Putney. We have olders and disabled service for people either over 60 or with an ADA defined disability. These are free rides to any medical appointment, adult daycare, congregate meals, congregate shopping, and social personal care trips. And we've been doing this now. Our company is just entering its 29th year. We have 34 towns that we serve in Windham and Southern Windsor counties. And our goal this year was to ask all of our towns for an increase in their appropriation. We're hearing that our state funding will be minimized or cut in certain cases, and the onus is on us through a number of different ways to raise more local funds. I write grants pretty much full-time now with foundations, colleges, schools, towns, individuals, corporations, ski resorts, etc. And part of the town appropriation process with Putney was to request an increase from $1,000 to $1,250. And through Karen's help, she directed us to fill out the form and wish to be reclassified as a Group B entity, being that we're a nonprofit company providing general services to the residents of Putney. So I'm here tonight in support of that motion that hopefully you'll consider favorably, and to answer any questions or comments you may have.
Yeah, Fletcher.
If I'm reading your appropriation questionnaire responses correctly, you said that you use 1.1% of your budget to provide services to Putney residents?
Yes, we have almost a $9 million budget.
So that means that the value of the services you're providing to Putney residents would be in excess of $93,000 a year.
Right. Last year, per our letter that we send every year to Putney, we provided $96,562 worth of service. We provided 2,670 rides to Putney residents. That excludes anybody who rides the fixed route bus. These are all on the demand response routes, the Medicaid travel and the O&D clients.
Well, so far as I can tell, you're a great deal.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm a little confused, Randy, in your community service appropriation questionnaire. Okay, never mind. I got it. It's 8 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I got it. I was like,
Like everybody else, our costs are increasing and funds are harder to get. And so we will see a dramatic increase in cost this year, although we're making about every cut that we can. But you hear this every day, and everybody's business seems to be affected the same way, and we're no different.
I'm concerned, frankly, that, you initially approached the board to attempt to get an increase in the appropriation we were giving you, and my sense is that if we put you into category B, you're going to see a decrease.
No.
well, that was my question, Karen.
Karen,
No.
what's it?
No, he won't. I don't have my town report with me. Does anyone have their town report?
Oh, who bothers to look at those old things?
No, I don't. I usually do.
So all I can say is I looked at it, and actually they will get an increase.
Good.
I do not, maybe I do have it with me. So right now there are 5 agencies in Group B, and right now each one of them, based on the budget, is $3,612. So you add another one in there, so it'll be, divided by 6.
Which would be close to 3,000.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he will still get an increase.
Am I correct in assuming we're in the same boat here, that we have it within our purview to add them, to not have to have it go as an article, but for us to add them as into
According to
category
your
B?
Policy.
If we were to choose to do that. Okay,
I move we add them to category B.
A second.
okay. Discussion among the board members.
I think it's a great idea.
Any other comments, questions among the board members? Nope. What about online? Nope. In the room? Karen?
I just want to say they fit the criteria for Group B. And they've done their due diligence, provided what we asked from them.
Okay, then I'm gonna call the question. The question is, shall we add the, it's not the mover,
No.
the Southeast, Southeast Vermont Transit, to category, to Group B of our community service appropriations? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay. We got it.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, board. Karen, thank you for your help too, but we very much appreciate your support. Good luck with your work this year.
Thank you. We really appreciate the mover.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we are now on to Select Board Old Business Town Meeting Warning, draft number 4.
So draft number 4, we just eliminated Article 10 and 11.
Do we have it here? Where is it?
Yeah, it's further in the back.
How far back?
If you get past all of the Southeast Vermont Transit stuff,
Okay. Oh, I see. Let's get there. Okay.
So I had added those, we're now taking them back off.
And which article numbers are they, just for
10 and 11.
10 and 11? Okay.
Article 12 was added. Per the request of the select board in the last meeting. And Article 13 was a petition. And it is a valid petition with the required signatures. I received the language from the town clerk for Groundworks Collaborative to provide services to residents of the town. So I added that article.
And that $757 is coming from, that's the amount that the category
C. It was C.
Oh, it was the C.
Yeah, it was a C.
Historically.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So I am at this point good with this warning for 2025 annual meeting, except for Article 4.
Okay, you want to speak to that?
I will. So I have gone back and forth with the general fund budget, and I'm not comfortable presenting it to this board tonight. I'm adamant that we can reduce it. I would like to see it reduced by $100,000, so I can level fund the budget for 26. Given that we had a reappraisal year, taxes went up 80% for some folks, and the unknown is what the state will do. And this is the first year I've been uncomfortable with a budget. And it's been challenging. There's been some changes. I had added some things into this budget that were never in there and I can take them back out. And I've always said that if we go over on a line item and I can justify it, fine. And I'm very conservative, and I let the departments know, you know, conserve. If you don't need it, don't spend it, right? Just because it's in the budget doesn't mean we have to spend every single penny. I'm asking the board to give me another week to reduce the general fund budget.
What was that figure? How much do you want to reduce?
100,000.
I'll give you a week for that.
I don't think we're gonna argue.
And then if it goes sideways come 2026, then I'll own it. But I'm just not comfortable presenting the general fund tonight.
If you're not comfortable, I'm not comfortable.
The highway fund and the water and sewer, the library, I don't really have any say. The other three, they're fine. The highway, I'm good with that. It's a level funded budget for 2026. And it has some fluff in it, but I'm not touching it. General fund I need to tweak it a little more.
Okay, so that means we need another meeting.
Yes.
And what's our deadline?
Our deadline is the 29th. So the articles, the town warning, the latest date it can be warned is February 2nd. We're up against time now because we need to get the draft town report, which is pretty much done. Once we put the ballot in and the warning and the general fund budget, then we can send it off to the printer. They're gonna do the mailing for us. So once it's printed, it'll mail from their company, and so there's no delay there either.
And since February 2nd is a Sunday, realistically, we got to get this done by the 31st.
Yeah. So the 29th is the drop deadline.
Yeah.
29th, which is
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
And it can be, if people have conflict.
I have a conflict on that. I will not be able to be here that day.
Can we do Tuesday?
No.
Monday.
I cannot be here. I could do Monday. What about other people?
I already know what I'm looking at. It's just not gonna take long. They're very late.
Okay,
Do
and
Monday.
if we can all do Monday, and well, fingers crossed that Eileen can do Monday. At 5:30?
Yes.
Okay. So if we're good with that, we can move on.
Thank you for your understanding of this.
Okay. So, select board reports. I'm not gonna go down the list. I'm just gonna ask, does anybody have anything to report?
First thing on the list, the Cannabis Control Board process and procedure. I handed you guys what JJ crafted last week.
Is it in here or is it independent?
It's independent.
Okay, oh, here it
It's
is.
just
Okay,
draft.
got it.
How would you like to review it? Basically, as we had discussed on one of the previous reports, we're trying to put it on the town clerk to kind of facilitate the process and procedure. So they would receive it, they would bring it to the zoning administrator and the health officer, They would do their screening, and then town clerk shall request review of application by the local cannabis control commission in a regular meeting. So they would bring it to us after that. Any questions or concerns? Edits, maybe?
What are you hoping for here? Are you hoping?
Well, we are the Cannabis Control Commission locally.
Right.
And if somebody came to us, what would we do?
Right. But I guess with this, are you? Do you feel comfortable with this, or are you still tweaking it? And
I mean, this is just the first rough draft.
okay, so you're asking for first rough draft feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you read it to us?
Sure. Section 1. All rules and regulations contained herein, together with such additions and amendments as may be hereafter adopted, are hereby designated as the local cannabis control policy. Section 2. This policy is adopted pursuant to authority granted under 7 VSA 863B, which provides that a municipality may choose to establish a cannabis control commission. The town of Putney established a local cannabis control commission, hereinafter the LCCC, by resolution adopted on July 27th, 2022. Section 3. The LCCC designates the town clerk to be the contact between town of Putney and Vermont Cannabis Control Board. The town clerk shall receive any applications for cannabis permits located within the town of Putney. Upon receipt of any applications, the town clerk shall forward the application to the zoning administrator and health officer for due diligence screening. Upon receiving reports, the town clerk shall request review of applications by the LCCC in a regular meeting. Section 4. In considering whether to approve a cannabis application in the town of Putney, the LCCC shall A. Review information provided by the State Cannabis Control Board. B. Review information provided by applicants for the approval or denial of a local control license. C. Review information provided by the town of Putney zoning administrator and town of Putney local health officer. D. Will communicate approval, denial, or conditions placed on the local control license to licensees and to the State Cannabis Control Board. And E. Comply with the provisions of 7 VSA 863 and Cannabis Control Board Rule 2.14. And then whether or not we approve it or not.
So do select board members have any comments or things they'd like me to take back to consider?
Do you have a draft of a permit application, or is this gonna like track the liquor applications, or how are you envisioning that?
Yes. So JJ did draft I should have brought that here too, but I guess at the next meeting I can bring one of those, and then they will also create an internal checklist to make sure that they're following those process and procedure.
Good, thank you.
Anything else, Karen?
I would suggest that it be reviewed by legal counsel. VLCT used to do reviews on policies for municipalities. They no longer do that. But I strongly encourage the board to have legal counsel look at it.
Yeah.
And I also want to say thank you for drafting that up. I know I watched the meetings, and I know it was a difficult task. And
there's always a lot of information,
yeah.
and it's changing.
Right, and Rachel did a lot of research and data to help with this project. And I'm thankful that you considered the health officer and the zoning administrator in that draft, because I think that's important.
Any questions or comments online? No? How about in the room? Yeah.
I'm unclear as to what you want to do. You want to bring like a legal cannabis a retail place to Putney, or what is it you want to do?
Not necessarily, but if a person did want to open up a retail place here, we would then have to consider that option, right? So we want to craft a way to review that.
Okay, because with Greenwood School, Putney School, Landmark College, and cannabis,
Absolutely.
I have a lot of reservation.
And that's definitely one of the concerns is the zoning of it all.
Right.
Well, just to say, we are not out there advocating. That's not our role, but we do have to have a process and a policy for reviewing it if something comes to us. Yeah. We're not trying to drum up business.
No.
Yes, Fletcher.
Yeah, it's not, the purpose isn't to promote it, it's to allow us to control it. If we don't do this, it's gonna happen without us, so.
Right. No, so thank you. Thank you for the clarity, thank you for that.
Okay. Thanks, Nate.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Great. Any other select board reports? Nope. Okay, how about public comment on items not on the agenda? Do we have any of those? None online, none in the room. Do we need an executive session? Doesn't look like it. So our next meeting date will be Monday, January 26th at 5:30. Right?
27th.
27th. Okay, Monday, January 27th at 5:30. Okay, can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So,
Can I hear?
Second.
I guess that was two. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're done.
There you go.